Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'm just going to fix one thing here. So glad to be with you this evening and presenting a concert in partnership with Emerald Concerts in Hollywood, Florida. Leanie and David, hey, how are you? Great to be doing this with you, and I'm sorry we can't do this in person as we had planned almost 2 years ago, but it really is my pleasure to be here this evening with you, and I'd like to point out right off the bat a beautiful painting that Leanie made for me. Yeah, great to be here and look forward to having some good music and community this evening. Those of you who've not been to my live streams, I'm not reading the chat. My friend Donna Ratliff is taking care of that. So I'm not taking requests live, but I do respond to emails if you are watching this real time or after the fact and want to hear a particular song in an upcoming broadcast. Be sure and send me an email. You can do that through my website or even make a note in the comment stream on YouTube Live. And tonight's concert will be a mixture of requests, some from David and Lainey and some from other folks, and some dealer's choice. And I hope you enjoy the show. I'm going to start out with a song that I wrote on the morning that Pete Seeger passed away. And I went back that morning and reread his comments in the hearing for the House Un-American Activities Committee in 1955. And this song sort of rose out of his testimony as my own interpretation of what Pete was saying. It's called Let Me Sing You a Song. You've asked me here to tell you about my neighbors and my friends, talk about the who and what, the where and how and when. But I won't give you anything you don't already know. But if you'd like, I'll sing that list of songs before I go. Let me sing you a song about the people that I love, poets and philosophers, the workers and the wanderers, the ones who walk the picket lines, who dare to stand and fight, and the ones who hold their babies close and rock them through the night. Well, you say it's un-American to do the things I do. I sing for justice, liberty, and civil rights, it's true. But I say it's un-American to ask me how I vote, how I pray, or what I believe. But here's the song I wrote. Let me sing you a song about the people that I love, poets and philosophers, the workers and the wanderers, the ones who walk the picket lines, who dare to stand and fight, and the ones who hold their babies close and rock them through the night. If I had a hammer, I'd have her in the morning, I'd have her in the evening, all over this land. I'd have her out danger, I'd have her out warning, I'd have her out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Well, if you want to send me to prison, I guess that's the way it'll be. I won't give you fodder for your paranoid machine. If the price of my silence is shackles, well then fellas, take me away. For I will live to sing again and rise with a brand new day. Let me sing you a song about the people that I love, poets and philosophers, the workers and the wanderers, the ones ones who walk the picket lines, who dare to stand and fight, and the ones who hold their babies close, rock them through the night. La da 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 da. This is the easy part. You can sing along from home. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Let me sing you a song about the people that I love, the poets and philosophers, the workers and the wanderers, the ones who walk the picket lines, who dare to stand and fight, and the ones who hold their babies close, rock them through the night. Yes, the ones who hold their babies close and rock them through the night. Here you go. This next one is a song that I wrote a couple years ago about the general strike in Winnipeg in 1919. And I know that's a very different part of Canada than where David and Lainey are from, but in honor of the spirit of Canada, land of dreams, I thought I'd sing a song I wrote about something that took place in Canada. In 1919, the workers of Winnipeg took over the city in May of that year in protest to incredibly bad labor conditions and working conditions and health care, and protesting child labor, and demonstrating for universal women's suffrage and all kinds of issues that were on the table. But the ripple effect of that was felt across the world. Was felt throughout the United States, and some of the organizing tactics used in Winnipeg aided the Irish in their War of Independence between 1919 and 1921. And it's one of the more consequential people's actions that very few people actually know about. And it's worth looking up on Wikipedia or wherever you go to find and do research. But it's called Winnipeg 1919. The year was 1919, and all around the world people started marching with their victory flag unfurled. We've shed our blood on battlefields, enslaved in deep dark mines. We rally to the banner, bread and roses, it's our time. Come gather, fellow workers, and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. From Europe and to Canada, across the USA, we cry out for justice and for fair and equal pay. All sisters and brothers and all workers here unite. We strive for one big union and defend our common rights. Come gather, fellow workers, and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. Halifax and Thunder Bay to the Fraser River shore, Seattle, San Francisco, and Chicago hear us roar. From Boston on to Dublin town are heard the people's cries. No more to drudge and idler when the workers organize. Come gather, fellow workers, and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. Though Some of us were born of means and others not a dime. We spend our lives in service to a cause we hold sublime. All laborers in commonwealth, now let our voices say that one way or another we will bring the greater day. Come gather fellow workers and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. To Big Bill Haywood, Mother Jones, and Eugene Debs, along with Emma Goldman and Joe Hill and all the Reds, and all those fellow travelers who beckon to the call. An injury to one of us is an injury to all. Come gather fellow workers and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. Not win our struggle here, but sure as hell we'll try. For the future of our children we are steadfast by and by. It's only when our minds are joined with muscle we can stand and bring to birth a new world, arm in arm and hand in hand. Come gather fellow workers and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. Come gather fellow workers and raise your voices strong. We rise today in Winnipeg to sing our victory song. We rise up all around the world and sing our freedom song. Thank you. I don't normally wear Hawaiian shirts for shows, but I am ostensibly in Florida, and it's the shirt that I had that most went with the painting, so that was the theme. This next song is called Flame in the Darkness, and it's one that I wrote, at least 15 years ago now, but I just felt called to sing it this evening. It just feels hopeful. And I could use some of that. This week I went down to Starved Rock State Park down in about an hour south of me here in Illinois. And it was extraordinary. The frozen waterfalls never failed to capture my imagination and my sense of wonder. And I posted a few pictures on joejencks.com. If you're interested in seeing a few of those photos, of those of us that are friends on Facebook, you can go to my personal Facebook page and see a few more of those pictures. But yeah, in spite of it looking like a frozen winter wonderland, it was actually about 45 degrees and sunny, and the snow is just starting to melt, and it's extraordinary. I know those of you who have chosen to live in Florida probably don't think a frozen waterfall is a beautiful recreational thing to hang out by, but for those of us who are of the Northland, it's a wonder of winter. There's a flame in the darkness, burning deep within our hearts, in the love that grows between us. This is where the journey starts. There is hope in the stillness. There is solace in our friends. between us. This is where the isolation ends. Come full circle in a moment. Hold no shame in what you feel. This old world will keep on turning, and our broken hearts will heal. When the rain falls around you like your solitary tear, in the love that flows between us, know that thunder holds no fear. In the struggle you hold sacred, when the arrows pierce you through, in the love that flows between us, may your courage be renewed. There is music in each silence. There is promise in each day, and in the love that holds between us, may we always find our way. Come full circle in a moment. Hold no shame in what you feel. This old world will keep on turning, and our broken hearts will heal. There's a flame in the darkness, burning deep within our hearts, in the love that grows between us. This is where the journey starts. There is hope in the stillness. There is solace in our friends, and in the love that holds between us. The sacred journey never ends. Yes, in the love that holds between us, the sacred journey. Just because I'm a paranoid guy, every so often I like to check and make sure that everything is going okay. So forgive me stepping away from the microphone. All right, just easing my own mind. Talk amongst yourselves. Had a request for this next song a few weeks ago, and I haven't gotten around to it. And I hope whoever requested it is listening tonight, but it just felt like the right song for the evening. I was swimming in the Klamath River in Northern California, and I used to be a Red Cross certified lifeguard, so I fancied myself to be a strong swimmer. And unfortunately, on this particular day, I failed to recognize that sense of self of being a strong swimmer was about 10 years out of date. And I lit out across a wide and fast-moving mountain river, and was humbled by the difference between being 27 and 37, and so, and this was some years back, and it was just one of those moments where time slows down.
We've all had these moments where the time is sort of in an accordion and it goes outward and outward and outward, and we have minutes worth of thought process in mere seconds. It's what adrenaline does. But I had this moment where I realized that this may have been my last mistake, that overestimating my capacity as a swimmer or underestimating the strength of the river, the combination of the two, had just gotten me into serious trouble. And as I started to look at sunlight through about a foot of river water and foam, and the world was becoming more and more surreal, I thought maybe I would see the light. They talk about, at the end of your life, look for the light. And I was looking for the light and waiting for my name to be called onto my next dispatch, onto my next assignment. And I didn't hear anything, and I was a little disappointed. And then I thought, well, maybe there'll be this flash of images that come before me, and I'll come to some transcendent understanding of what this has all been about. And that didn't happen either. I was really starting to freak out a little bit. And then I saw what would happen the next day, or a few days later. There would be a headline in the Arcata newspaper, and it would read, "Obscure folk singer dies in freak river accident." And I thought to myself, I really don't want that to be my epitaph. And so literally with my last breath, I pushed myself above the surface of the water and cried out for help. And to my eternal benefit, there was a woman on our retreat that week who was a current Red Cross certified lifeguard. And she jumped in the water with me. And rather than do all the lifeguard maneuvers that I had been taught years before, she just started to tread water, and she invited me to place my hands on her shoulders and take a deep breath. And I did. And then she told me to take another and another and another breath. And slowly the color returned to my cheeks and the panic left my eyes. And she said, "Okay, let's keep swimming." And I was very surprised because, of course, I thought she was there to save me. And I didn't realize that in that one moment she had. And when we gather here in community, however distant, when we gather here to keep celebrating the things that matter to us, the music and the camaraderie, we are holding each other up in that river. We are resting on each other in those moments. And so I sing this song for all of you and for myself and all those swimming with us. Will you come with me? I feel the current raging around me, trying to summon up my strength once more. I am weary on this journey, afraid I will not reach that distant shore. I cry for help, feel like I'm sinking. There is no can see, but there you are in the water with me. You take my hand and guide me graciously. Will you come with me on this journey? With every breath we take, keep reaching for the dawn. I know although I will falter, with a good friend near me, I will carry on. There is a kindness in your smile and a gentleness within your speech. You reassure me, your love surrounds me. I know safety is at last within my reach. Will you come with me? Will you come with me on this journey? With every breath we take, keep reaching for the dawn. I know alone that I will falter. With a good friend near me, I will carry on. It's an illusion we carry
every breath we take, keep reaching for the dawn. I know that I will falter. With a good friend near me, I will carry on. I know that I will falter. With a good friend near me, I will carry on. With a good friend near me, I will carry on.
Gonna grab the electric bouzouki now and sing for you a song that I recorded a couple years ago on my Poets, Philosophers, Workers and Wanderers album. It was written by my dear friend John Brooks up in Toronto. It's called Mercy. I used to admire most a poet who, with a pen untangled this world into verse. I used to admire most. Sorry, driving me crazy. There we go. All better now. It would not be a Joe Jencks show without some tuning. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. It's a very particular and useful form of OCD. I used to admire most a melody and all it could do with love and words. I used to admire most a poet who, with a pen untangled this world into verse. I used to admire all that I thought profound. I plagiarized the prophets and the saints. Oh, but now that I'm older, oh, it's mercy that I admire most. Oh, it's mercy that I admire most. Well, I waited out my low youth for a fallow spectacle, and lines snaking round coliseums. Well, I marched in the drench under fame's soft fist clenched, and I paid hard-earned money just to see him. Oh, but now that I'm older, oh, it's mercy that I admire most. Oh, it's mercy that I admire most. I admire the pure of heart that will one thing. I admire the steady in their routine. I admire
decision and the mind that endures it, and those who speak though they be shamed. I admire the reckless voices for the voiceless, and the man standing in the path of tanks. Oh, but now that I'm older, oh, it's mercy that I admire most. Oh, it's mercy that I admire most. Oh, it's mercy.
This next song is one that I wrote on the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's assassination. I was at a retreat center down in the mountains in North Carolina, and I woke up that morning and realized what day it was. And all throughout the day, this song just kind of kept downloading in increments. And I had a performance that evening at this retreat, and I sang it. And I was so glad that I had taken the risk to sing a brand new song, because there was a woman there who was not really part of the community. She had just traveled in from California to be in Georgia, and she needed a little break from her grandkids and from, the transition, the move that she was going through. And she came down to this retreat center, but she was a woman who was part of the AME church, and she was in her early 70s. She had marched with King. She had met him, and it was like I had written the song just for her. And there are just these moments when the muse just calls to us, and if we're listening, something beautiful happens that we couldn't possibly predict. And that was one of those moments when a song that I was just still in process of writing was just the thing that somebody else needed to hear.
January 15th, 1929, born in the city of Atlanta. Just another preacher's kid singing in the choir. This kid had a vision, reach for something higher. 6 years old when segregation put him in his place. Started school and lost his childhood friends, questioning the order of society and faith. Many deeper truths which one cannot escape. Martin, oh Martin Luther King, keep holding on to what you know is true. Living out the teachings, continuing to sing. Martin, oh Martin Luther King. Booker T. Washington High School was the place. He began to raise his voice on poverty and race. Headed off to Morehouse, a 15-year-old sage, chasing dreams of dignity beyond his youthful age. Martin, oh Martin Luther King, keep speaking up for what you know is true. Living out the teachings, continuing to sing. Martin, oh Martin Luther King. Studying the sacred word challenged him to grow. He headed for Montgomery, toward a fate he could not know. City buses, boycotts, peaceful marches in the street. A bomb thrown through a window, crown of thorns laid at his feet. Albany to Birmingham, St. Augustine to Selma, Boston, New York City, Chicago and D.C., carrying the burden and the banner of equality till 1968, April 4th, Memphis, Tennessee. Martin, oh Martin Luther King, we will speak for what we know is true. Living out your teachings, continuing to sing. Martin, oh Martin Luther King. Martin, oh Martin Luther King, we will speak for what we know is true. Living out your teachings, continuing to sing. Martin, oh Martin Luther King. Living out the teachings, continuing to sing. Martin, oh Martin Luther King. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King.
Well, speaking of going out on a limb, I'm going to play a song for you that I'm still working on learning. This is written by my dear friend Rod McDonald, and it is, in my mind, one of the most beautiful songs that he's ever written. It's called For the People. It's going to take me just a minute to get the instrument in the right tuning. And while I'm doing that, I'll say that it really is a pleasure to be here presenting this live stream concert in partnership with Emerald Concerts down in Hollywood, Florida. David and Laney Engels normally host shows live a few times a year, and I'm so glad to be here tonight representing. And this show is by donation, by contribution. As with most of the shows I've offered throughout the COVID era, I've really felt like the question to ask is not what I can get, but what can I give? And so I give the music freely, and I invite you to value it as you're able. If you are of solid means and able to value it generously, that's appreciated. If you are of humble means, please feel free to let the music just be a gift to you. For the people. For those of you who aren't watching the chat screen, by the way, there's PayPal links on joejencks.com. If you're wondering, how do I make a contribution, Joe? Yeah, for all I talk about Pete Seeger and the influence that he had on my music, in my childhood, Pete was a distant person. He was somebody I knew through records, recordings. The other person that had a radical influence on my songwriting, on my performance style, and on me as a person who regularly toured through my hometown was Rod McDonald. And he made this music real for me and made it accessible and showed me by example that it was possible to build a real life doing this work. And so it's always a joy singing Rod's music. I've recorded White Buffalo on my Links in a Chain album, and assuredly we'll record more of Rod's music coming up. We're talking about doing a little bit of a video song swap where we sing a few of each other's songs, or one of each other's songs, and post it online. And so I'll keep evolving the song, but I thought I'd share it with you as it is right now, as I'm just learning it, because it's beautiful.
Last night I dreamed of my old home, my sister and I when we were young. The yellow sun shone through flowering trees. We rode the old familiar streets. The faces of old friends were near, the smiles of children bright and clear. My mother sang our favorite songs. My father worked his patch of ground. When I awoke, I was far away, in a land where only yesterday, after 40 years of tyranny, the foreign armies had to leave. And as I walked the streets of town with my new friends who call it home, in the air so newly free, this is what they said to me. I would not love my country more for victories in foreign wars. I did not love my country less when it was occupied and oppressed. Not for some politician's speech, but for the people strong and free. The land so green, the sky above, these are the country that I love. Now who can say what takes a man far away from his own land, and yet his dreams will take him home, back to the land where he was born, to walk the old familiar road and see the faces young and old, the land so green, the sky above. These are the country that I love. The land so green, the sky above. These are the country that I love. Rod MacDonald, For the People. I love that. I would not love my country more for victories in foreign war. I did not love my country less when it was occupied and oppressed. If that line doesn't feel familiar to you right now, you have not been paying attention. This next song I wrote the song after I got an email from my friend Charlie Bernhardt, who was for 36 years the cantor at Oseh Shalom Synagogue in Laurel, Maryland. And it was two words, Tikkun Olam, followed by one brief sentence, look it up. And I took that prompt and ran with it, and it became this song after I had spent several hours diving down the rabbit hole of Talmudic wisdom and Jewish mysticism. And this is what came out the other side, Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam, Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam B'Keshano. A tale is told of how the world was made in 7 days, 6 of them for work, one to rest and pray. Then God placed the holy light into a vessel made of clay. But it was fractured by our sin, and the pieces fell away. Tikkun olam, tikkun olam, tikkun olam, v'keshano. Why was God so careless as to lose this sacred light? Now we must gather up the shards to set creation right. It's a task we may not finish, but we each must lend our hands as we love through imperfection and we heal our broken land. Tikkun olam, tikkun olam, tikkun olam, v'keshano. And so we tend the garden, picking stones and pulling weeds. We water with compassion the fragile sacred seed. We are partners in creation, and we let God's true light shine when by faith and solidarity we show our love divine. Tikkun olam, tikkun olam, tikkun olam, v'keshano. Tikkun olam, tikkun olam, tikkun olam, v'keshano.
Last summer, I was privileged to work on a really cool project. I was contacted by the folk archives at the Library of Congress and asked if I would consider putting together, give or take about a half an hour concert event for them based on the American folk archives at the Library of Congress. And I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to go back to 1939 to the Rayford Prison in Florida. And 3 days of recording that John A. Lomax and his wife Ruby Tyrrell Lomax did there. And so this next one is the first of a couple of songs I'm going to sing tonight that come out of that research. This one is called "O Ye Prodigal Son." And what's really remarkable to me about this is the many layers of allegory around liberation and civil rights and incarceration and, just the conversation that all of us are trying to have in one form or another. About racism and the ways in which certain clues into that conversation exist in this song. But it isn't just sort of a lyric or a spiritual or political observation. There's something about the music in this song that was straight out Motown, but it was in 1939 in a prison yard. And for me as a musician to make the connection between the old work songs and chain gang songs and the gospel music, Thomas A. Dorsey from Chicago, who was sort of understood to be the father of modern gospel music. He founded an association of gospel choirs globally and began disseminating music and choral charts and things. And so this is a song that would have been relatively new still in the whole era of gospel. And yet it's really clear to see how the church music influenced pop music a quarter of a century later. O ye prodigal son. If you want to know more about that project, there's some links on joejencks.com. You can go to my website and find links and read up on some of the research and some of the lyrics and which ones were gleaned from the recording. And I added a few because sometimes there were verses missing or parts of the story that were inaudible. But it's knowable when you start with a known text where the story goes. O ye prodigal son. O ye prodigal
son. O ye prodigal son. O ye prodigal son, go and be a servant of the Lord. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home and be a servant of the Lord. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home and be a servant of the Lord. Was a prodigal son, he was a fall-away child. A father he wouldn't obey. So he left his father's house. He thought he was going astray. Oh, I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home and be a servant of the Lord. He was sleeping at night in a stable bare, begging by the side of the road, wishing only to be in his father's house, or just to carry a servant's load. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home and be a servant of the Lord. Father saw him coming, met him with a smile, and threw his loving arms around him, crying, "This is my darling child." I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home and be a servant of the Lord. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home. I believe it, I believe it, I will go back home and be a servant of the Lord. Be a servant of the Lord. I'm gonna be a servant of the Lord.
Yeah, go back and check out the original recordings there, the Library of Congress recordings on that one. They're just amazing to hear these four guys in this gospel quartet sing that. And I, of course, can't even begin to do that justice, but it's got mojo, so there it is. From that to a very different change of pace. This is a song that I wrote after learning about a town that was right on the border between Poland and Ukraine, called Trochenbrod. And my friend Marilyn's family had come from there, and they had arrived piecemeal in the States just after World War I and into the 20s. But when Trochenbrod was invaded by armies allied with the Third Reich, she lost many of her cousins, and it was a small shtetl out in the wilderness, land that had been granted to the Jewish communities by Princess Sophia. The Russians called it Sofievka. The Jewish communities referred to it as Trochenbrod. But she had given this. It was likely a piece of her dowry to the Jewish communities out of sympathy for the ways that they were being treated in parts of Russia, and wanted to somehow alleviate suffering, and so to give them land where they could go and farm and be on their own was what she knew how to do at the time. And but then as things became harder and harder in Europe heading into World War II, Jews from other parts of Europe began to head out toward Trochenbrod. It was known that there was this place out in the woods, out in the wilderness, that might be a safe haven. and it was a town of on average around 1,000 or 1,500 people, and it grew to, as I understand it, over 5,000 people before the armies came in 1942. And the song tells a little bit of that story, Children of Trochenbrod. Sorry, give me just a second. There's one chord that I play in the song that I don't play in any other song. I'm going to trust that it comes to me.
Who can ever know or say what makes a heart go blind? What paves the road to hatred, or what shadows fill the mind? What voice cries out in memories? What sacred words unspoken demand each generation try to heal what has been broken? From the heart of wilderness, by the labor of their hands, the people built this town. Row by row they plowed the land. And Friday night by candlelight, the ancient prayers were read, celebrating Shabbos, singing songs and breaking bread. We remember, we are the children of Trochenbrod. There were whispers on the wind in 1941 that the war would come to Trochenbrod, but there was nowhere left to run. And rumors of the camps came in with refugees each day. They were trying to find safety and stay out of history's way. We remember, we are the children of Trochenbrod. In August 1942, Trochenbrod stood brave. Hitler's armies gave them shovels. They were forced to dig their graves. Soldiers lined them up like bottles, and they did not waste a round. Not a single soul was spared. 5,000 lifeless on the ground. Then the Nazis stole the paving stones. They filled in every well. They took a torch to Eden, and they turned it into hell. When there was nothing left but ash, they planted trees to hide their shame. The wicked men tried to erase it. We know this place has a name. We remember, we are the children of Trochenbrod. We remember, we are the children of Trochenbrod. All the children of Trochenbrod. Mit seinen alle der Kinder von Trochenbrod. Nachnu kol bnei Trochenbrod. Todos es crianças de Trochenbrod.
from a story of one people oppressed by history back to the story of another people oppressed in history, and still in both cases. And so this is why we sing the songs and tell the stories, because we get to change things. We get to move things forward just a little bit. And sometimes, if we're lucky, we get to move things forward a lot. But this is another song from the Rayford prison. A woman named Gussie Slater sang this song. And she was a remarkable singer. And I think had she not found herself on the wrong side of the law, she really could have had an extraordinary career. But as it was, she was recorded on Sunday the 4th of June in 1939 by Ruby Tyrrell Lomax, singing this song. And it's sort of call and response, and you can help me out with that. I sing, he's a battle axe, and you sing, in the time of a battle, he's a battle axe, in the time of a battle, he's a battle axe, in the time of a battle. And then we all sing together, shelter in a mighty storm. You got it. I can hear you already, even from here. But he's a battle axe. And there were a few things in here that lost me a little bit. Some references to Abraham and Sarah and knocking at Abraham's door. And then I went and did some looking into Hebrew scripture and found the piece that I was missing to write another verse that would tie this old recording. And they were recording on these old Bakelite discs that had aluminum acetate, and they sometimes didn't have a lot of room, so they didn't capture the whole of songs, but Ruby would make little pencil notes in the sidelines. So the penultimate verse in this is one that I wrote, just sort of tying the story together through Hebrew scripture and the spirit of the song. And the last one is one that Ruby Tyrrell had written on the dust cover of this old record. And he's a battle axe by request this evening. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. Shelter in a mighty storm. Can no man do like Jesus? Not a mumbling word he said. He just walked right down to Lazarus' grave and he raised him from the dead. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. Shelter in a mighty storm. On Easter night he started back home. Stopped in Jerusalem while pressing along. Folks heard a doctor's got more treasures than gold. Doctor, can you feed a dying soul? He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. Shelter in a mighty storm. When Mary, had it not been for Adam, there would not have been no sin. Adam broke the laws of these commands. Now we got a debt to pay. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. Shelter in a mighty storm. Mary was seeking for religion. She was only 12 years old. She was skipping over hills and knocking. She knocked at Abraham's door. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. Shelter in a mighty storm.
just like Abraham and Sarah, Mary had her unloving son. She bore to the world a Savior, and now every battle's won. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. Shelter in a mighty storm. Well, A is for Almighty, that's true. B is for baby like me and you. C is for Christ sent from God. D is for the doctor, man of all. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. A shelter in a mighty storm. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. He's a battle axe in the time of a battle. Shelter in a mighty storm. A shelter in a mighty storm. A shelter in a mighty storm.
He's Battle Axe, Rayford Prison, 1939, the Lomax collection. For those of you that have joined us partway through the stream, this beautiful painting behind me was painted for me by Lainey Ingalls, and I'm very happy to have it here with me. It took me a big chunk of this year to figure out where to put it in the space so that I didn't get a weird glare, but I finally figured it out. And if you have not had an opportunity to make a contribution to tonight's concert, there are links in the chat stream, and also you can go to joejencks.com. For those that want to send checks, if that's easier for you, please send me an email through joejencks.com, and I will personally email an address to you where you can send a check. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've got some more music for you, but I'm just going to pause for water break, and you can as well. And yeah, from that blues, I'll take you to one of my blues songs. I imagined, I wrote this song while driving from Albany to Chicago, and I had imagined to myself as I was driving, what would happen if Ray Charles and Dr. Seuss had gotten together for a co-writing session, and what would be, what would be the outcome of these two incredibly brilliant but differently creative people getting together to have a creative conversation. And I decided, of course, it would definitely have to be a blues song, and it would definitely have to somehow quantify the human experience, that there was a certain philosophical element and yet whimsical element that would be common to both. And then it was off and running. And this is what came out the other side. It's called Everybody Sings the Blues.
Well, I may not be the smartest man that ever walked on earth, and some of what's gone well for me might be an accident to birth. Oh, but deep inside, the mystery surrounding me and you is something I have come to know and hold is deeply true. Well, you may be a woman from the right side of town, going out evenings in the finest of gowns. Oh, but one thing's for certain, you know it ain't news. Sooner or later, everybody sings the blues.
Well, you may be erudite,
or a real cool cat, a high-priced jet setter, going this way and that. Ah, but one thing's for certain, no matter the shoes, sooner or later everybody sings the blues. Oh, lonely, we all get lonely sometimes. There's nothing anyone can do but hang on for just another day and hope to see it through. Well, you may be ironic, you may be a clown, you may swear that you will never wear your smile upside down. Ah, but one thing's for certain, whether you win or lose, sooner or later everybody sings the blues. Yes, one thing's for certain, you know it ain't news, sooner or later everybody sings the blues. Yes, sooner or later everybody sings the blues. Nice. Well, I think I'm going to go to... I'm missing a capo here somewhere. I've misplaced it. It will come back. I have faith. It is somewhere obvious around me, perhaps even in my own pocket. Indeed, there it is. It's like losing your reading glasses on top of your own head. This is a song that I wrote while I was in Virginia. And I kind of miss the prompts that come into my songwriting as a result of traveling to other places. I have occasionally during COVID just gone for drives just to go. Like I drove... Yeah, I'll just hop in the car and go for a while. I usually make a call list and catch up with people, do some business. You know, it's like for 22 years, that's been my office, is the front seat. You know, I program numbers in beforehand, and then I have my day's calls to make and people to catch up with. And I have, just for nostalgia's sake, done that a few times during quarantine. This is a song called Fireflies. Lightning strikes, the thunder rolls, there's a rumble there in the distance. Love calls even when I am afraid. I feel it knock on my resistance. I still believe there are lights that shine, no matter what obscures my point of view. If I can't see the stars from where I stand, I guess the fireflies will have to do. How I wish my life were simple, like when I was a child long ago. Sense of wonder could be held within a mason jar, and I was cradled in their glow. I still believe there are lights that shine, no matter what obscures my point of view. If I can't see the stars from where I stand, I guess fireflies will have to do. One by one, I capture my dreams, try to hold them in my hand. But it seems they always slip away through the hourglass falling sand. As I sit here on this warm Virginia night, searching for a sign that's true, tiny beacons flicker in the darkness. They tell me that this storm will pass on through. I still believe there are lights that shine, no matter what obscures my point of view. If I can't see the stars from where I stand, I guess the fireflies will have to do. If I can't see the stars from where I stand, I guess the fireflies will have to do. The fireflies will have to do.
Hope comes in unexpected places. This next song was written by my friend Cy Khan. A couple years ago, I released an album, all of songs that were written by Cy Khan, but which he had never recorded. And some of them were almost finished, and he graciously let me tweak them a little bit. Some of them had bits of borrowed melody that he knew he was quoting from himself in places, and so I was pleased that he was open to the idea of me collaborating with him sort of after the fact on just changing a few bits and pieces of them to make them songs that felt natural for me to sing personally. But this song just knocked my socks off. It was one of the first two that I absolutely knew as I was listening through about 75 or 80 songs that he sent me in various forms. I knew that I was going to record this instantly. It's such a powerful tribute to the civil rights movement and stems from his time in the South in the mid-1960s when he went down to get engaged in the movement. And it's called I Have Seen Freedom Being Born. Well, I'm tuning. I'll mention there is a new Joe Jencks store out there, and you can purchase recordings. Again, there's links on joejencks.com.
I have gone had I not seen the newsreels, black and white upon the screen. But I went south to march beside those heroes and tell the world what I had seen. For I have seen the bowls of cotton bursting, fight against the early morn. The marchers stretched along the bitter highway. I have seen freedom being born. Would I have known had I not heard their stories on shotgun porches bleached by sun? Would I believe had I not seen the troopers block the bridge with clubs and guns? But I have walked among the people marching, singing we've been buked and we've been scorned. And I have seen the waters part before them. I have seen freedom being born. For there is patience watching from the cotton, anger buried in the bowl, resistance waiting for the morning, water hidden in the storm. Nothing I write can make you feel their dignity. These heroes I have known by name. Nothing I do can match their quiet courage. I will never be the same, for I have heard their songs lift up to heaven, rise from faces lined and worn. And I have seen the gates swing wide to greet them. I have seen freedom being born. I have seen freedom being born. I have seen freedom being born.
Going to go back to the acoustic bouzouki. And bring it home. Had several requests for this song. I wrote it in the summer of 2010. It was actually the first song that I wrote on this instrument. This acoustic bouzouki in the shape of a guitar was made for me by my friend Baird Blaine, as was the electric bouzouki. And this was the very first song I wrote on this instrument. And I was at Kerrville, and I had a show that night, and I had started this song in my head the day before, when I found out that four indigenous had been arrested in Tempe, Arizona, for not having green cards or proof of citizenship. And they tried to explain to the arresting officer that, their families had been there for about 2,000 years, and that really seemed not to change the officer's mind, and they were detained anyways for not having proper citizenship identification or green cards. And it's a story I thought would make the news nationally and internationally much more than it did. And when it really kept not getting the airtime I thought it should, I decided I needed to write a song that was based on my own family's immigration experience, and to invite us into a little more dialogue about the disparity of perspective between the sort of Norman Rockwell ideas of immigration that we have seen, these idealistic thoughts, and he of course believed in those ideas, and the harsh reality that so many people face. And so after having been to Ellis Island, having looked at my granddad Felix Kilbride in the books there, and then going down to Texas, I wrote the song, and I was stumped with all. I was great, but I was stumped on one line. And I sat there in the brambles and the hedges in my little nook there where my tent was pitched in the hill country, just singing this over and over and over again. And in the second verse, I get to this place where, I knew that I needed a certain number of syllables. They're packed in their bags. And I just kept banging my head against the wall. And finally, my buddy J.P. Schwartz, Jalapeno we call him, Jalapeno hollers over the hedge, "Earthly cares," and it was like that person that comes along and looks at the crossword puzzle that you've been banging your head against for an hour, and they're like, "Oh, it's that." And you're like, "Thank you. I hate you." So I don't hate JP. I love JP. He is an absolute soul brother of mine, but I have to give him due credit for two words in this song, "Earthly cares." God love the man.
Far away in distant lands, the tempest tossed with hopeful hearts and calloused hands reach toward the light the torch held high, and cast their gaze upon the lady of the harbor. And she welcomes them with open arms. She says, let my children in. Shine on, shine on, oh you lady of the harbor. And so it was with my own kin. They sailed from Sweden and from France and Ireland. Their earthly cares packed in their bags, they cast their gaze upon the lady of the harbor. And she welcomed them with open arms. She said, let my children in. Shine on, shine on, oh you lady of the harbor. Now we're locking down the borders and we're filling up the jails, and we say they don't belong. How conveniently do we forget that we've all come to sing the same sweet song? Will the dream survive the strain? Will huddled masses have a chance to learn its sweet refrain? Or will we fall into our fears and turn our backs against the lady of the harbor? And she welcomed them with open arms. She says, let my children in. Shine on, shine on, oh you lady of the harbor. And she welcomes them with open arms. She says, let my children in. Shine on, shine on, oh you lady of the harbor. Shine on, shine on, oh you lady of the harbor. Oh you lady of the harbor.
Thank you, and thanks to Emerald Concerts down in Hollywood, Florida. David and Laney, thank you so much. I'm sorry I can't be there in person to hang out with you and visit and have a hug and catch up a little bit, but what a pleasure to be here this evening and representing Emerald Concerts with this broadcast here on YouTube Live. Big shout out to everybody tuning in tonight. Thank you. And to those of you that may be catching this in the next week or two after the broadcast, thanks for tuning in. Please go to joejencks.com, JoeJencks.com. And you can find more information on recordings, on upcoming concerts. I've got, I think, one concert a weekend from now, almost, I think, up till Easter. Partnering with various presenters that I would normally be doing concerts for all over North America. Next weekend I'll be in Calgary, which is pretty sweet, on Friday night. And then actually I'll still be here in the basement, the great basement tour of 2020 and 2021. But I'll be doing a show for the Calgary Folk Club. And the weekend after that, I'll be at Song Space in Pittsburgh. The weekend after that, at the New Revival Coffee House in Stowe, Massachusetts. And more can be found on joejencks.com. If you want to make a donation, you can find me on PayPal. I think it's very formal on PayPal. I think it's Joseph Jencks, but there's a Joe Jencks PayPal me link in the chat stream over there on the side. Also, if you go to my homepage, my webpage, you can find it there. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll close with one more song after a sip of water here. Again, many thanks to David and Lainey and all the folks down in Florida that I would normally be seeing if I were there right now. I can't wait to get all of us vaccinated and get the world kick-started again into something that looks a little more familiar to us. Many of you know that I'm a dual U.S.-Irish citizen. Oh, I just realized I was wrong. I skipped a weekend in there in between Song Space in Pittsburgh and the Stowe, the New Revival. I'm doing a concert for the Old Songs community, the Old Songs concert series, and I specifically wanted to mention that because it'll be an Irish-themed show. Irish pan-Celtic, but I'll be exploring a lot more about my Irish heritage. I'm a dual U.S.-Irish citizen. So that show will be on the 19th of March, the week of St. Patrick's Day, on a Friday night. BYOGB, bring your own green beverage. And hope to see you on many of these broadcasts, but thanks for coming to this one, and thanks again to Emerald Concerts. The song is called The Coming of the Years, and I wrote it while I was on tour in Ireland. And while my people come from County Kildare, I have a deep affinity for County Kerry, and that's what this song was written about. When I first came here to wander these mountains, my heart was tattered and torn. Ever the rover and all the world over, no land ever felt like a home. But here in the crags and the bogs and the valleys, I've found some measure of ease, where the song of the wind is as sweet to behold as the beautiful rose of Tralee. And it's high up and over the mountains of Kerry that I love so dear. I don't know when I will see you again in the coming of the years. Now I have been blessed to live a good life. I can count my friends by the score, and I have shared meals and moments of kindness. God willing, I'll know many more. But when the burden I've chosen to shoulder is more than I can stand, I find that my thoughts wander back up to Kerry, that rugged and beautiful land. And it's high up and over the mountains of Kerry that I love so dear. I don't know when I will see you again in the coming of the years. When I have traveled all of my journeys and sung all of my songs, when I have given the best that I have and righted most of my wrongs, then take me back to the place that I love. Let me gaze out over the sea. Take me back to the mountains of Kerry and let my spirit run free. And
And it's high up and over the mountains of Kerry that I love so dear. I don't know when I will see you again in the coming of the years. And it's high up and over the mountains of Kerry that I love so dear. I don't know when I will see you again in the coming of the years. I don't know when, but I'll see you again in the coming of the years. I don't know when, but I'll see you again in the coming of the years. I don't know when I'll see you again, but in the coming of the years, hopefully more like months, we'll see each other again. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight to this broadcast presented in partnership with Emerald Concerts in Hollywood, Florida. Thanks to David and Leanie. Thanks to Anna Ratliff running the stream and helping me out in so many ways behind the scenes. And thanks to all of you for showing up this evening. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great night. All right. You talked me into it. All right. Not sure what I feel like doing here, but yeah, I'm happy to do one more. Sure. Yeah. What's speaking to me? Crops are all in, the peaches are rotting, the oranges are stacked in their creosote dumps. They're flying you back to the Mexico border to pay all your money to wait back again. The father's own father, he waded that river. They took all the money that he made in his life. My brothers and sisters, they worked in the fruit trees. They rolled the big trucks till they took down and died. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye, Rosalita, adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportee. Some of us are illegal and others not wanted. The work season ends and we have to move on. 600 miles to the Mexico border. They chase us like outlaws, like rustlers and thieves. We've died in your hills and we've died in your deserts. We've died in your valleys, we've died in your plains. We've died in your trees and we've died in your bushes. Both sides of the river, we've died just the same. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. For all they will call you will be deportees. The sky plane caught fire over Los Gatos Canyon. Like a fireball of lightning, it shook all our hills. Who are these friends all scattered like dried leaves? The radio says they are just deportees. Is this the best way we can grow your big orchards? Is this the best way we can grow your good fruit? To fall like dried leaves and rot on your topsoil, to be known by no name except deportees. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. For all they will call you will be deportees. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. For all they will call you will be deportees. For all they will call you will be deportees. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. See you soon.